Did anyone have good parents, or are we all traumatized? I've been trying to explore some possible reasons for some of my past and current behaviors, thoughts, attachment style, etc. I am in therapy. If I were to believe all the TikTok therapists lol, I'd say I have childhood trauma. However, my upbringing wasn't bad. I just don't remember most of my childhood. I know I wasn't abused or assaulted. Can something as simple as say, Mom has narcissist tendencies and didn't meet my emotional needs, and Dad traveled a lot, was emotionally distant when home, and preferred my older sibling, would that be enough to traumatize me? And let me be clear, my choices as an adult are my own. I'm not trying to blame my parents for everything. It just seems that my upbringing, for someone in my 30s, was relatively normal, and that I shouldn't be this fucked up. All the trauma I see makes me feel really grateful for having mostly great parents. I had good parents that loved me very much, and sacrificed for me like crazy. But they still traumatized me in ways I still think about sometimes at 37 years old. Mental health complications aren't necessarily a result of trauma. There's a wonderful book called Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents by Lindsay Gibson. Give it a read and see if you relate to it. If your mom really does have narcissistic tendencies and didn't meet your emotional needs, then likely a form of trauma. But only you get to decide how to name your experiences. TW. Can't speak for others, but I'm traumatized. Unfortunately, raised by drug addicts in a trailer park. CSA. Parentified. Would go on to battle my own addiction after my mom gave me Oxy when I was 18, 8 years sober now. Raped 2x. Beaten by men. It's pretty miserable. Honestly. I've had so much therapy I could be a therapist lol. I have great loving caring parents. I call them every day for breakfast to start my day nice. There was conflict. Sure. Especially with my dad. But we sorted it out. I have good parents and I'm traumatized. The two are not mutually exclusive. Good parents fuck up too. I feel the same about my childhood. We had several deaths in the family that were incredibly hard, and I rebelled a bit while growing up. But there was nothing I would consider trauma. However, there are still things that happened that I've started to rethink now going through therapy. I think we all get fucked up by our parents somehow. It's just some are much worse than others. There's a book you should read called The Narcissistic Family. That will answer all of your questions. But TLDR, yes. That would be traumatizing. As the book will explain, the source of trauma is that your parents consistently put their needs before yours. Which is not how things should go. Once my dad told me he wants to slit his throat when he speaks to me. So my parents were not the most kind or involved individuals. I turned out mostly alright. I wish things could have been different, and I'll be in therapy indefinitely. But things definitely could have been much worse. I was abused like hell, but I am an amazing mom to my 2 kids. They will know nothing but love, support, and kindness. Breaking that cycle over here. Biceps. USA society is inherently traumatizing. Your parents can also pass trauma to you without being traumatizing. You want good enough parents, which a lot of us didn't have. Check out CPTSD From Surviving to Thriving by Pete Walker. I recently saw the audio on YouTube for free. I recently read Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents, and it was a great and quick read. Oh. Not remembering much of your childhood is actually a sign of trauma. So it's likely your childhood wasn't as normal as you think it was. I'm so sorry. My parents were outstanding. Virtually no arguing and highly supportive of each other as well as us. They deliberately set out to not be their parents who, by all accounts, were pretty twisty. I'm very lucky and I have great parents. They're loving, generous, kind people who raised me and my sister into happy, healthy, functional adults. They helped and encouraged us to be successful in school and beyond. And I know I can always count on them for support. I talk to them frequently and visit when I can. Are they perfect people? No. Nobody is. But I'm glad they're my parents. I had absolutely fantastic parents. Some of us luck out. Huge hugs. Op. You deserved better. My therapist said I have childhood trauma thanks to an alcoholic dad. He didn't beat us or verbally abuse us, though. He was just unreliable and broke promises weekly and was a deadbeat the majority of the time. My mom did what she could, but raising 4 kids essentially solo is hard. She's also a hard woman who had hard parents. She's 73 now and sometimes laments about how she pretty much never hugged us or showed much affection at all. I knew she cared. But I also struggle to express affection now. So, I guess. My husband's parents were a great, kind, loving, supportive. All 3 of their boys grew up to be happy, successful, and self-assured. Given my shit show childhood, I'm pretty envious. The 2 things are not inseparable. It's possible to have good parents and still have childhood trauma. Sometimes 2 kids with the same parents and home and upbringing will experience different things, which can cause one child to have difficulties adjusting while the other won't. Depends on temperament, sensoric processing, order of birth and etc. Whether you want to call it trauma or not, the way we are raised has a huge impact on our behaviors, thoughts, and attachment styles. So maybe your upbringing wasn't bad. But the truth is, the logical outcome of having emotionally distant parents or being the least favorite child is struggling in adult relationships and finding it difficult to express or get your emotional needs met. If you're in your 30s, there's a solid chance you're also traumatized by the world turning into shit as fast as it possibly could. Our generation went from being promised the world if we only worked hard and applied ourselves to accepting that we just may not be able to own a home anytime soon. We went from this technological revolution is going to turn the world into utopia where nobody has to work anymore to make sure you pay your monthly $40 so you can keep your heated seats in the winter. It just seems that my upbringing, for someone in my 30s, was relatively normal and that I shouldn't be this fucked up. Are you me? My mum was the best. An absolute gem, and my dad was fine. And I am very fucked up. How did this happen? Who's to blame? No one knows. Life is a mystery. Boomer parents. They are still entitled asshats at times. Therapy has made me realize my parents are actually pretty shitty. Confounded face, I knew beforehand, but I was in denial. We were poor. Like dirt poor. But my mom made sure I had food and clothes. All other needs not so much. We were punished but not beaten badly. It's hard to wrap around. Would I ever raise my kids the same if I had them? Hell no. My parents did a piss-poor job outside of food and shelter and not beating the absolute crap out of us. Traumatized hand waving.